Peaceful yet defiant. Chopper 2 over the scene today as more than 2,000 people marched through the streets, a much smaller crowd than originally expected. Eric Garner's family laid flowers at the site of his death more than a month ago. His widow overcome with emotion as a grand jury now considers charging the officer who allegedly put him in a chokehold. We have team coverage of today's march. Let's start with CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer live in St. George. Marcia?
Well, good evening. The protest was peaceful. There were no arrests, and the police were on their best behavior. Now, part of the reason the march ended without incident was the fact that the Reverend Sharpton brought in a strong team of marshals to keep the peace. They wore sharp suits and ties, orange armbands, and stern expressions, and locked arms to guard the protest march and prevent violence. The men also tried to keep people away from the Reverend Al Sharpton as he marched. Many were from the Reverend Louis Farrakhan's Nation of Islam.
Don't touch me!
They even tried to manhandle me, but I got through.
The message is people want reform. This is not against police. This is bad police. And the only way to protect good police is take the bad out.
Thousands came to protest the death of Eric Garner from an apparent chokehold. Police saying there were more than 3,000, with Sharpton's folks saying that was more like 8,000. While the march was sometimes disorganized, for example, it was hard for Sharpton and the Garner family to get to the spot where Eric Garner died, the passions were real and intense.
It's not right and wrong. It's not white or black. They did wrong, and they need to pay for doing wrong.
Members of the Garner family among the expected speakers, but one of the most surprising appearances came from the head of the teachers union, Michael Mulgrew.
It is time for us to follow the wishes of this brave family and say, we want this death to come to something good for all of us and all of our communities.
Early on, Mulgrew's decision to support the rally infuriated fellow labor leader Patrick Lynch, president of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. He thought teachers should support cops. Also at the rally, a number of retired officers critical of their brothers in blue.
In Eric Garner's case, when those cops stood by and he said 11 times, "I can't breathe," and they did nothing, they held accountable too, and we want them arrested.
Police Commissioner William Bratton was not on hand, but John Miller, the NYPD head of anti-terrorism and intelligence, was, along with hundreds of non-confrontational community affairs cops in friendly-looking blue golf shirts. Mayor de Blasio was also not at the event, but did address the right of the protesters at an event at a Brooklyn church.
After any incident like this, it's very important that people express their concerns and that there be a real dialogue about where we're going.
Well, the Reverend Al Sharpton and the Garner family telling me they're still waiting for the other shoe to drop, whether the federal government will take over the case. On Staten Island, live, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.
Marcia.